Hmm.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Rise podcast with me, your host, Katie Oman, women's empowerment coach, author, book coach, and all-around fabulous human being. I created the Rise podcast series to have conversations with some amazing people. I really believe in the power of story. I think it has the power to change, inspire, and empower. It helps us to feel seen, and it helps us to come together, which, as we know, is needed now more than ever in this world. So, as ever, I have another amazing guest for you today. I'm so happy that she's come on board and said that she'd do this with me, and I know we're going to have a really good chat. So let me introduce you to the ever fabulous Flavia Powell. Flavia, how are you, my darling?
Very good. Thank you. Very good. Thank you for having me here.
No, you're very, very welcome. So, as you guys know by now, I don't introduce the guest. I think it can be a little bit So I let the guest introduce themselves. So Flavia, why don't you tell us all about you, who you are, what you do, and all that gorgeous stuff.
So I'm Flavia Powell. Oh God, where do I even start? I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm a therapist. I specialize in hypnotherapy and life coaching, but I also do neurolinguistic programming, goal mapping, and life mapping. I'm also an author. So I have 2 books of my own and one together with 18 beautiful ladies called the Pay It Forward series, which is an international bestseller. And I'm also a public speaker. But apart from all of that, I am just me, and I'm somebody who is very bubbly and caring and friendly. I've spent my whole life working within mental health. In fact, it's all I've ever done, and it's a real passion of mine. So I'm probably looking at 25 years now of having worked within mental health. And I must admit, it doesn't get boring. If anything, it just gets better and better and better, and I get more and more passionate about it. The reason I do what I do is because at some point I've needed it myself. And as we all know, we always need self-care. So I've needed it. And after having found ways of managing myself and caring for myself, it's become even more of a passion to help other people. I'm the founder of Happiness Engineering Limited, which is all about teaching people how to be happy, teaching people how to be happy, how to take control of their own happiness.
I love that. And I love that you're so multi-passionate and multi-faceted as an entrepreneur. And I've spoken about this before in other episodes, but I was kindly, and it wasn't maliciously, I'm sure, but kindly told at one point that I should maybe focus on one thing and pick a lane, as it were. And my instant gut reaction was absolutely not. I can't. I have so many different interests and so many different passions. I just can't pick one. Has that been the case for you? Is it like the more you do, the more you kind of find that you want to do?
Absolutely. And all of these different therapies I do is because at some point I've tried them. I thought, right, I've done that. How can I improve myself? I'll try a different therapy. And they just work so beautifully together. So actually, when you look at, we have so many different passions, so many different things we do, they're interlinked. They all come together and offer us this massive toolbox of caring for ourselves. I love flowers, sunflowers. So my branding colors, and they're all about sunflowers. Why? Because sunflowers make me happy. So therefore, they're connected to happiness engineering.
I love that. And it's all about a reflection of you, isn't it? Like I say to people who, are about to start their own business or maybe run their own business or whatever that looks like. You are your shop front, right? So you're not a brand like Coca-Cola or, I don't know, Nike or whatever. That's this long established business. You are your shop front, right? So therefore your business has to be a reflection of you and your personality and your interests. People go, oh, what color do you think I should have as my branding? And I'm like, well, what colors do you like? Like, it's like such a question of like they hadn't thought about it before. But it has, if you don't feel passionate about what you do, why would you expect anybody else to be passionate about it either?
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time there's people look at what would my clients like. Consider what you like first, because that way you're delivering it with passion. You're putting it out there with passion. You're uncomfortable about it. Same with the pricing. You're uncomfortable about your prices. Those clients are going to pick up on that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to be comfortable first. And that it never feels like work, does it? When you do that,
No,
it feels like work. It just feels like something you love, and it's you. It's a reflection of you.
exactly. And I do think that, we've been so led. I don't know whether that's in social media has really driven that, but feels like a lot of the time it's about the noise and other people and public perceptions and likes and follows and subscribers and all of that, that we seem to also, we'll almost forget that it's our business.
Yeah.
It's like you say, if you're not connected and passionate about it, why would anybody else be? But it seems to be like nobody tells you this stuff.
Yeah. I must admit, social media is something that I definitely need to get better at. I think in fact, I know I've spent quite a long time in sort of hermit mode, just caring for myself and building myself, and in the background, building my course to teach other people how to be happy. So I've not been on social media a great deal. Every now and then I'll scroll through for a couple of minutes and find a funny post and share it, make myself laugh, and job done. But so that's probably the next step in my journey is a bit more of social media, and technology and I are still getting to know each other.
I love that though, because it shows it doesn't matter how many things that you do, how many interests you have, how many skills you have, how many qualifications you have, all of these things, you're still learning and growing and developing as a person and an entrepreneur. And I think that's really the comparison trap is so toxic. We look at other people and go, they've got it all figured out. They know what they're doing. They're at the top of their game, which may be true, but that doesn't mean that they know everything, right? And they have it all figured out. And all of us, well, ideally should be learning and growing constantly.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I don't want to know everything.
Too much, man. My brain would explode.
I really don't. Technology, it's great. It's amazing. I'm very grateful for it. It's not something that comes naturally to me. So I know I could learn it if I put, the time and effort into it. I could get significantly better at it. But there are people out there and it's their passion.
Yeah.
It's not mine. So spreadsheet, I can't do a spreadsheet. That's something that I could learn.
I was talking to a lady, one of my clients, about this on the weekend, and I said, my mom, for example, has been in the fitness and diet industry for years, and she's brilliant at it. She's like Duracell Bunny and Lycra. She's amazing at it. It's her passion, it's her purpose. Anything to do with an office and a computer, she instantly has like this huge mental energetic block. She's just like, no. And I've tried to kind of give and teach her, but she's just not engaged. Which is fine because it's not her strength and her passion. But what she did do was that she got one of the women that she was working with would come into the office for a couple of hours every week, because her strength and passion was technology and computer software and all and spreadsheets. And so it's playing to your strength, and not trying to feel like you have to be all things to all people, because otherwise you're taking away from your passion, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been, well, I say always, no, that's exaggerating ever so slightly, but I know I'm a bit like Marmite. I know that, and I'm okay with that. So I know my strengths, I know who I am, and that sits well with me. I know what I'm really good at, and I know where to go if I need help with a lot of those things, and that makes me happy. What makes me unhappy is trying to know everything, putting pressure on myself to be good at everything. There's a reason why there are so many different people with so many different skills. We can help each other. I could give a couple of therapy sessions in exchange for some support with technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet one of the big things I think is, and maybe that's one of the mitigating factors, I suppose, towards mental health and self-care, is that we're brought up in a society where we still find it hard to ask for help sometimes. We see it as a sign of weakness or that we're failing in some way. And actually you start to realize, well, hopefully at some point, that we all need help at some point, right? And we all do. It doesn't matter who you are and how many followers you've got or how much money you've got. Everyone needs help at some point. And actually, I always say this to people, I think, and I don't know about you, but if somebody asks me for help and I can help them, I feel it makes me feel good, right? And I feel like I've done something really wonderful with that and be able to help this person. So I say to people, if you're not asking for help, you're robbing that person of that feeling. So turn around and make them feel guilty.
It's true. And actually, contribution is one of our basic human needs,
Yeah,
which is why we feel so good when we contribute to someone else's life, whether it's
yeah,
a nice cup of tea, a warm hug, a listening ear, anything. It brings us happiness
yeah,
because it
exactly.
is a human need.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we
exactly.
wouldn't crave it so much, would we? Same as
Mm,
personal growth. We wouldn't constantly want to better ourselves, know more, do more.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, you can say it's real. I'm sure you've witnessed it. I mean, I'm interested, I suppose, with the work that you do. I think you've been in the game for so long, game industry for so long. Have you noticed in the last, I mean, you have to go there, in the last 4 years, have you noticed a real shift in not only the type of clients you're seeing, but what they're talking about? Is it really, I can imagine, I mean, I know for the work that I do, that it's people's mental health feels like it's a bit more fragile than ever, in my experience.
Yes, and I think the lockdowns have contributed a great deal to that. And again, coming back to the human needs, connection
Mm,
is the one that's the biggest one, directly linked to people's health and
yeah,
happiness. And I think a lot of people felt disconnected, or if they
yeah,
didn't feel disconnected, they were so petrified of being disconnected
yeah,
that it's taken a real toll. Or parents and children had to spend more time together, couples had to spend more time together, and all of a sudden they become aware of the interaction, the awkwardness, that sometimes people don't like each other. And it kind of led to this lack of safety and security for a lot of people, making them feel
mm,
really vulnerable. So I found that my clients, you're right, I've noticed a massive shift, but there's a clear polarity. So I either have somebody who's very logical and it's their way or the highway,
yeah,
or somebody who is so spiritual and so future focused, and uh, that we kind of need this middle ground. We need to find this balance. So I get the two types of clients now.
yeah. I can see that. I mean, I suppose from somebody who is esoteric and a bit out there, I suppose it's whether you lean on the masculine side of your energy or the feminine, right? So the masculine is very much goal orientated and ambition and hustle and pushing forward and very logical, rational. Whereas the feminine is more of the intuitive, emotional, creative, sensitive feeling. And yeah, I agree with you. You're either one or the other. You have both, but it's what your strength is. And for me, it was really, I mean, I always said that I was very, and I am in my feminine really a lot. But the feminine without the masculine, it's like having all the ideas, but then not doing anything with it. Right. And so it is trying to find the space of marrying all of who we are in the way that works for us, I suppose.
Yeah, and the same with the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. The
Yeah.
left, the logical, the right, the creative. I, for most of my life, I've been in my right hemisphere.
Mm,
The emotional brain, spent more time daydreaming than in the real world. So I had to find some balance with the left hemisphere.
yeah.
So the same masculine, feminine, right, left hemisphere. We have to find the right balance, which is why walking is so good. You find when people
Mm,
become a bit discombobulated, they go for a walk and it makes them feel better. Why? Because as you move left, right, left foot, right foot, left hemisphere, right hemisphere, feels really good. All about balance, isn't it? But I did find a real polarity of people, which is great. Because
yeah.
again, it just highlights how fascinating and how individual we all are.
Yeah. It's funny, I've been without a car for nearly a year now. And so I walk a lot. And obviously it's nicer this time of year than it was in the winter with all of that rain and cold. But I do find for all of my complaining sometimes, it has really benefited my mental health. And I can solve issues out, I can get new clarity, epiphanies. I even have ideas while I'm walking. It's really been beneficial in a way that I didn't fully appreciate. And do you think about exercise in physical form in your
Mm.
body and your health? You don't always think about it for your mental health. And yeah, it's proved to be really helpful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the mind and the body, they're interlinked, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't always
And
appreciate that though, I think.
And actually, the mind is such a small percentage. You think that our thoughts are the language of our conscious mind, our awake
Yeah.
mind. Then you've got the body, you've got this massive vehicle, powerful vehicle where all the feelings sit.
Hmm.
When we move the body, it naturally makes the mind feel better.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Sometimes
yet
we just sit there.
Western society worships at the altar of the mind. You know, we're all kind of in that space of like, what's happening in this space, which is, you know, good in many ways. But like you say, there's still a disconnect, I think, from that mind-body connection. I still don't think it's fully appreciated just how deep that goes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's not through ignorance. I don't think it's, you know, people aren't so much resistant to it as it's just lack of knowing.
Yeah.
I often find, you know, when somebody comes in for help, they just don't know. And once people understand why things are happening and where things come from and how to change things, they can very quickly integrate the mind and the body. You know, with my mouth, I'm telling my body that everything's okay.
Yeah.
So they work hand in hand.
Absolutely.
With my
Absolutely.
mouth, I'm telling myself I'm good enough rather than that I suck. Well, I'm the first one who hears how I speak to myself.
Funny, isn't it? That self-voice, that self-talk. It's like we say to the people, you know, be kind, be nice, be compassionate, be thoughtful. And yet, I mean, I know that I've certainly been real privy to this. I can be vile to myself in my own brain. Like, I don't need anybody else to bully me. Trust me, there are days where I'm perfectly happy doing it to myself. And it's like, but you don't appreciate, I think, that you are listening to yourself all the time and taking those messages on. Because, like, you know, if you say something often enough, you'll believe it. And then what's the impact of that on your body and your nervous system? And it's, like I say, it's not, I agree with you, it's not ignorance. It's just that lack of understanding because we've not been taught how deep that goes.
And have you noticed when the negative self-talk happens that instead of saying, I'm rubbish, I suck, I'm terrible at this, I'm terrible at that, we go, you suck, you're not good at this. Oh, you're bloody useless. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
You know, which is such a clear indication that that's someone else. That's someone else's. We're just repeating someone else's words. Otherwise, we would be owning it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yet you go, if I'm trying to do the self-love and the more positive self-talk, I'll go, I am worthy, I am enough. If I make it first person, but you're totally right. It's really funny. I hadn't thought about it that way. It is third person conversation. You're stupid. Nobody likes you. And you're like, okay, first of all, who are you in my brain? Because it's not me.
Yeah.
Crazy.
If you ask who are you and stop and listen, you'll very soon find out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is interesting how we pick up all these stuff from all around all the time without even realizing it.
Yeah. Yeah. We carry those patterns. I mean, you know, you think as children up until what, the age of 7, 8, we're like sponges.
Yeah.
We absorb everything and then we just turn it into this really horrible inner dialogue to beat ourselves up with it. And then I've got this really good strategy. If that internal dialogue starts, I have been known to tell it to do one.
I'm guessing you're not using the words do one, right?
I have been known to argue with it and say, you shut up unless you've got something nice to say, I'm not listening. Or blah, 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 I'm not listening.
I love that. I actually gave the voice the name of the girl who bullied me at school. So I'm telling that to go away, but I'm also healing that inner child experience from when, because I can say to it all the things I wish I said to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine's called Barky. It yaps and yaps and yaps like an idiot. Oh, shut up.
Oh no, that's why it's called the chattering monkey mind, isn't it? Because it never stops talking. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And that's why I say you're not your thoughts. And you know that because if you're not consciously thinking of something, you're still thinking.
Well, how on earth are we going to, you know, we can slow those thoughts down by any means. Do you think how many thoughts we have every single day? At least 70,000 thoughts.
Mad.
So they come in, they stay for a fraction of a second, and then they disappear. They instantly impact how we feel. Mind impacting As humans, we choose to do something with a handful of them. The ones which are aligned to our belief system, to what we think about ourselves. So here comes a thought, I'm not good enough. And we take it and now we expand it. Now we really add a story to it, attach a story to it. And it turns into a mess. doesn't it? Whilst, we could very easily start to become aware that we're not our thoughts and choose better thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we have a negativity bias of the brain, that you're more likely to believe the negative stuff than the positive, right?
Yeah, or tell it to do one. Get really defiant and tell it to
And you
do
know
one.
that, anybody watching this, like if someone goes to you, oh, that was you're stupid or you're fat or whatever, you'll go, yeah. But if someone goes, you look nice today, and you'll go, or you'll bat it away, or you won't believe it, you'll think they're just being nice. And that's because, like I say, that negativity bias of going, oh, well, they can't be mean the compliment. They're just saying it because they think it's what I want to hear.
Yeah. My dad always taught me, never ever reject a compliment. Somebody pays you a compliment, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Just say thank you, because otherwise you're disrespecting their opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's their opinion of you.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. Have you heard of the negative why question versus the positive why question?
No, but I'm fascinated. Let me know what's going on.
Right. So a lot of us will automatically go, why am I rubbish at this, this, and this? Okay. The brain works in pictures. So the minute we ask, why am I rubbish at, say, technology, right? We've imprinted a picture of rubbish at technology, me rubbish at technology. So the brain will give you the answers based on the picture you've imprinted. So you go, why am I so rubbish at technology? Well, because you're useless, because you don't take time to learn, because you could learn, but you can't be bothered. Yada, yada, yada. Right? Equally, if you say, I am good at technology, your belief system will go, no, you're not. Rubbish. No, you're not. So an affirmation like that, I am good at something you damn well know you're not good at or believe you're not good at, doesn't work. But if you turn it into a positive why question and go, why am I so good at technology? You're imprinting a picture, so good at technology, right? So then your mind, you stop and listen. Why am I so good at technology? Your mind will go, well, because you learn step by step. You learn little bits. Today you learn one thing. Tomorrow you learn something else. You're good at asking for help. You're good at watching when somebody's teaching you. So what the positive why question does, it overrides the belief system.
I love that. That's awesome. As I always find, like, I love the word yet. So I can't do this yet, because what you're saying is, like, I can't do this, or I'm not good at this, is a full stop, right? Yet is a semicolon or it's ellipsis. It's saying, well, I'm not dead yet. I may not be able to do it now, but that doesn't mean I can't do it. I just haven't chosen to focus my time and energy on that yet.
Yeah. And another good way to do it is, I'm in the process of learning this.
Yeah.
And the brain goes, oh, I'm in control. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of. That's really powerful.
I love that. I love that.
All these little mind hacks, they work.
Yeah.
They're really powerful. Why? I'm in the process of improving my technology skills. Why? Today I'm learning this. Tomorrow I'm learning that. Why? Because I'm passionate about what I do. Because I'd like to achieve this, this, and this. The brain loves it. They go, we're in control.
Because the brain is like, it's solution orientated, isn't it? So it's if you give it something, it will find. I always laugh at people. If you go, why can't I do this? The brain is almost like gives you a PowerPoint presentation. Oh, I'm glad you asked. Here are 20 slides about why you can't do it, right? It's just, it's the internal feedback loop. And so if it's a software program, go on technology thing, if your brain is a piece of hardware and you're running a software program, what are you feeding into it? Because it's only going to give you back what you're feeding into it, right?
Yeah. That's why the positive why question is so good.
Yeah, I love that.
Gives you what you put in.
You feel your brain kind of go, ooh.
Yeah. Why am I so bloody brilliant? Well, because you're managing all of this. You're looking after the kids. You're looking after the house. You're running the business. You're doing this. Brilliant. Now the mind sounds really friendly.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than being like you say, you're at war. And people make me laugh and they go, I'm at war with my ego. I'm going to conquer my ego. And I go, well, unless you have a lobotomy, it's not going to happen. It's part of your brain. Right? But again, it's just what software are you running? Just because you have the negative ego, fearful voice doesn't mean it has to run the show.
Yeah. But also, it's always, the ego has always been seen as such a negative thing. Yeah. Is it though?
I know.
Because isn't it the ego that allows us to experience life? I'd like to have a nice looking car. I'd like to have a beautiful home. I'd like to get myself a nice dress to look good in it. Doesn't mean I'm not caring. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean that I'm not giving. It just means that I'm going to include myself in that. And as
Yeah.
spiritual and esoteric and faithful as I might be, I'm also a human being who enjoys
Yeah.
nice things.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing. It's about, because for years, I don't know if you, well, I'm guessing that you would have gone through this journey as well, but it's trying to squash the ego, get rid of the ego,
Yeah.
be all love and light. And again, I come back to, how about you do one? Because because you can't be all love and light. True love, it's not true love unless it includes the self.
Yeah.
True compassion is not true compassion unless it includes the self. And myself would like nice things.
Absolutely. That poverty
Integration.
consciousness, that struggling artist, or the spiritual person that never asks for any money and like lives like a monk. It's such an old story. It's such an old story. I always say you didn't come down here, whatever you believe. You weren't born to be broke and miserable.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to be anything. You're allowed to want those things. You're allowed to want money. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you want to have the best life for yourself. Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah. And yet it's such a journey to arrive at this point, to be able to say this, and I'm well aware. I used to think about motivational speakers, from a dark place, from a place of pain, and make it sound so easy. Well, just make a decision, just do this. And actually, it's easy to forget that it's one heck of a journey, to peel back the layers, to come back to self-worth, particularly if brought up in a difficult environment where, you've received horrible feedback or abandonment or various traumas, abuse, well, just do this.
Yeah.
You can't, can you? And you
No,
don't
of
know
course not.
until you've arrived at that point and you can say, I matter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing that I found my journey is when you're picking up all these messages of, oh, just do this or do this, it's easy. If you do this, your life will change. And like you say, unless you're dealing with all of the stuff on top of that, then you're going to feel like you failed. You're going to feel like you're the problem. Everybody else can do this and I can't, so I'm the problem. And it's like, it's almost coming at it from the wrong perspective, I think, or the wrong direction, is that it's a lifelong practice. It's not a sprint. It's not a marathon that you're going to win. It's like, this is the practice of the rest of your life, right? So that's really, I think when I saw that, I'm like, who am I rushing for? What point am I trying to get to and why? Who am I doing it for? Surely it should be for me, right?
It's such a good question. I arrived at exactly the same point where I was, right, I got to get this healing done, got to do this, got to do that. Hang on, what's the rush?
Yeah.
I've got the rest of my life to keep progressing, keep finding out about myself, keep creating who I want to be. What's the rush? Just enjoy the process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but we do go, I think, through this phase where we put so much pressure on ourselves and compare ourselves to others, whilst I don't know about you, but I'm never going to be anybody else. I saw a post on Facebook the other day, and there are all these birds, blackbirds, and then one golden one in the middle. They say being different is okay. I can't remember a time in my life where I've not sort of stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yes.
And I get to 43 and I think, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. It is what it is,
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I must ask you about the happiness engineering, because in 2018 I wrote and published a book called Happiness Make Your Soul Smile. And initially when I was putting it around publishers and stuff, the message was that it was quite, not my book, but the subject area was quite generic. And surely there's enough stuff now about happiness. Why do you need another happiness book? I mean, luckily, I found a publisher that could kind of see it differently and see that there still is very much a need for this kind of work. And I really advocate for choosing happiness, and happiness is your responsibility. And I don't think people understand just how important a subject matter it is. And I think it is still seen to some degree as being kind of like, oh yeah, get happy, be happy, and not understanding that all of the details that entails. So for you, what was it about happiness engineering that really you felt drawn to move towards?
Number one is, although happiness is a state of being, it does require doing.
Yes.
You know, making the right decisions for ourselves, making the right choices, adopting the right behaviors. I've always been very passionate about people's smile. Ever since I was little, I used to love making people smile.
Mm.
And it occurred to me one day that when somebody smiles, behind that smile, there's a process, there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing, wherever they're redirecting their thoughts, something's happening. And so I made it my life's mission to find out what happens. What's the process? Which is what drove me to writing the first book.
Yeah.
And the name of the company, Happiness Engineering Limited, because it is like an engineer. It
Yeah.
is, you know, moving nuts and bolts. So it's got a kind of masculine energy to it. But that's what I mean, you know, if I wake up in the morning and I go, oh, it is what it is. What will be today. Well, that's not how, I'm not in control there. Whilst if I say I'm going to get up, I'm going to take the kids to school, I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to get myself a nice protein shake. I'm going to sit in the garden for a few minutes and enjoy the sun. You know, that's me in control of my own happiness.
Yeah.
That's what made me passionate. And also observing the difference between happy people and unhappy people. And again, you know, behind that sad face, there's a process.
Yeah.
And it's my absolute passion. And then you see when somebody's smiling, but the eyes are saying something else, and you know that they're trying to adopt the process, but they haven't yet figured out how to do it. They haven't yet fully healed from what's making them sad. Yeah, and I just love people. So happiness engineering to me is giving people back to themselves. You know, when we're born pure. We're not born with sadness. Then life happens and we become so disconnected from our essence. And of course, that was me. That was me at some point. And I was searching and searching. How can I get back to who I know deep down, who I was prior to lots of things happening?
Yeah. Yeah, I get it totally. But I think we've been kind of given the message, or we think that we have to hit a certain level of like tick boxes before we're allowed to be happy, right? So we have to weigh a certain amount to be a certain dress size. We have to have a certain amount of money in the bank account. We have to live in a certain type of house. Like all of these, like, and yet you realize that actually happiness is not, I mean, those things are nice, don't get me wrong, but they're not, your happiness is not dependent on them. Your happiness, you can choose happiness in any moment. I can be happy today because the sun is shining. That's it.
Yeah.
End of. But I can also choose to be happy if it's raining. It's all about your perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of it is, of course, conditioning in a different society. You know, years and years ago, that was the model. You got a job, you went through school, got a job, got a family, got the house, and that was the model. And now, as we're evolving, things are changing.
Yeah.
And you know, at the time, we weren't aware of the fact that happiness was an internal job.
Yeah.
A lot of people based happiness on achievements, which is what we've been told in school, at home, you know. So it's teaching people that actually you've got the control, you've got the choice. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's bloody difficult sometimes. If people are going through financial difficulties, for example, it's really quite hard to be deliriously happy. So sometimes it's just a case of taking a few moments just to breathe and be grateful for that breath.
Yeah.
You know, but I think a lot of people now, why you might have found some controversy with regards to your book, is because when you say the word happiness, people relate it to perhaps achievement, success.
Yeah.
And I think what we're talking about happiness is peace, contentment, and then building moments of joy on top of that.
Yeah.
So having that solid foundation. And that's what I refer to as happiness, is that peace of contentment. I'm at my happiest when I'm peaceful and contented. Now I can bring in moments of joy.
It's so true. And that's the thing I find at the moment, is that a lot of society is like, there's a lot of anger because they're starting to realize that those old messaging, those old structures and systems that we've been taught are so important actually are not true. So this thing of like the job for life and home ownership, and you know, if you do all the right things, you will be successful and you will therefore be happy. And we're starting to realize that isn't actually the case. And of course, that's showing up differently for different genders and stuff. But it's realizing, well, okay, if that stuff, I mean, if that stuff is not the absolute pinnacle of happiness, then we have to kind of think, well, what is for me, right? And it's like, and it's individual. Yes, there are certain things everybody can find happiness in, but your journey is yours. And what will make you happy is not what will make me happy, and vice versa. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And you find that A lot of people, in fact, the majority of people, if they feel safe and secure,
Mm.
they're happy.
Yeah.
They're peaceful and contented.
Yeah.
You think loss of income, lack of safety and security, loss of people you love, lack of safety and security, challenges around the home, lack of safety and security, children misbehaving, not doing well at school, lack of safety and security. And it all leads to unhappiness. So what we all crave is safety and security.
I love that. So true. So true. It really is. And it doesn't matter whether that's on your own or with other people or what that looks like for you. That is the foundation. I totally agree with you. It really is. Yeah. And looking back at your journey, I know it's kind of a big question. What's been like, I want to ask you actually, what's been the highlight of the journey so far for you? I haven't asked this question before for anybody, but I feel really intuitively that I want to, what has been your golden moment so far?
My golden moment. Wow. Actually, my golden moment wasn't that long ago. It was last week when I sat in the kitchen and I thought, it's quiet. I have nothing to do. And then my brain kicked into gear and went, right, well, you've got this to do and you could be doing this and you could be doing that. And I went, no. The grass is cut. Got my clients. The children are okay. The house is looking okay. It's all right to be peaceful. And I was like, wow, I haven't experienced this. Well, not ever, where the mind didn't chitter chatter. So that moment of stillness and quietness to go, hey, it's okay. And that was probably the most powerful moment of contentment.
Wow. I had something similar when I had the epiphany of, and it sounds like such a weird thing to say to some people, but literally I was sitting there watching television. It was 2016. And I suddenly had the thought, you are okay as you are.
Yeah.
And it's like, I never thought that before. And like I say, it's that moment of everything just kind of went, because it was like, I could let go. I could let go of some of the fear and the striving and the pushing and the hustle of trying and trying and trying. It's like, you don't have to try. Honestly, you're okay as you are.
You're good enough as you are. Absolutely. And you know, about a month ago, I bumped into one of my friends at the gym. And he said, hiya, how are you? I went, yeah, I'm good. How are things? Okay. And I said, how about you? Okay. And we stopped and we laughed and we went, nothing to report? What?
Because normally it's like, there's this and this and this and this.
Yeah. And those moments are so important and really the highlight of my journey. You know, when you know that, and I'm not saying challenges don't happen, because of course they happen. Life happens all the time. But to be at peace in who we are, in ourselves, to be okay with I'm good enough as I am, I'm in control of my emotions, I'm managing my emotions, and I'm dealing with life.
Yeah.
So, responsibility, the ability to respond to life is getting better and better and better, which is bloody brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that sounds happiness right there in a nutshell, really.
Exactly. There's a lot to be happy about.
Exactly. So it's funny, I must tell you a quick story. So I know I've shared this on social media, but it just makes me laugh. So I was sitting in a doctor's surgery a couple of weeks ago, and there was two older gentlemen next to me, and they were having a full-on moan fest, like full-on complaining about everything, from like the weather to the economy to technology to young people, like everything. And I'm sitting on my phone waiting for my appointment. And I just, at that moment, normally I would keep quiet, very British, and just tut in my head. But I was just like, this is ridiculous. I went, it's a good job I'm not here for my mental health, because I would jump out the window listening to you two. Right? And they both went, what? And I said, I know there's a lot in this world to be stressed about and negative about and worried about. But there are moments of joy as well. And we can choose to focus on them. So give me a positive. And he was like, well, the weather's not bad. And I went, well, there you go. I said, that's a positive. That's something happy. And one of them said, sometimes it's good to moan. And I said, yes. And sometimes it's good to be happy and positive. And after that, you could have heard a mouse fart in that room. It was hysterical. But happiness is a choice. And that's the bottom line. Yes, there's things in the world that are crap and scary and difficult. We all have our challenges. But there's also magic and beauty and love and wonder and joy. And it's about choosing to focus. And that's not to be like, put your fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 la. I'm like, I'm not going to listen to anything about the world. I'm naive. It's just to say, where are you putting your energy today?
Yeah. I think a good moan sometimes is very valuable, as long as it's done in an environment where it's helpful, where the person you're moaning to is then going to help you redirect, shift your focus towards the good, right? So it's a case of be aware of the challenges, focus on where you're going, focus on what you want to achieve. Like, you know, motorcyclists training, or the instructor training motorcyclists how to ride a bike, be aware of the pothole, focus on where you're going. We always have two paths ahead of us. Fight, flight, freeze, anxiety, happiness, contentment, peace. And that's the difference. Moaning, talking about happy things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anxious,
and
peaceful.
it's like anything. Like if you like have a diet that consists mostly of like apples and lettuce, yes, it's going to be good for you in the short term. It's not going to be good for you in the long term, right? Because anything you focus on predominantly is actually unhealthy for you. So yes, a good moan sometimes is needed, like you say, in the right environment. But if you're going to just moan consistently and have nothing positive at the end of it, like that's not going to leave you feeling happy at all, right?
No, it's detrimental. It's always about, okay, you've had a little moan, like you've released the anger. Now focus on how you want to feel. Focus on peaceful, calm. Okay, right. So I've let go of that because I don't want it in my body. I don't want all that horrible energy in my body. Now I'm focusing on the good stuff. Just like with your diet, Monday to Friday, I'm more than happy to stick to a good diet. Friday, I'm cracking open a can of Guinness, maybe 2, 3. And that makes me happy. No bugger's taking that away from me.
I think that is the pinnacle of this chat. I don't think we get better than that. I can't get this on the Friday. I think we've hit the absolute pinnacle of joy right there.
I'm just replenishing my iron supply.
Of course. So I mean, this has been such a good conversation. I knew it would be, and honestly, chatting this stuff with you is just like, it's just joy. It really is. So for anybody who wants to find out more about you and the work that you do, where can we find you online?
I think my website would probably be the easiest. www.flaviapowell.co.uk or happinessengineering.co.uk. I'm also on Facebook, Flavia Powell. I am on Instagram, though I'm terrible at using it and fairly rubbish at it. So I'm going to ask one of my friends to help me with that. You can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Don't use them as much. So probably Facebook and my website. You can email me. You can send me a message on Messenger if you want to chat to me. Always more than happy. I love people and I love talking to people.
And I'll put all the links down here. So if anything that we've talked about today resonates or triggers you in any way, do reach out to Flavia. Like I say, she's one really easy to talk to, and I'm sure she would love to hear from you. So please take her up on that. She's I remember having a cup of tea with you many years ago around your house, and we putting the worlds to rights. So yeah.
Did, yes. We've got to do that again. It's been years.
Yes, absolutely. But Flavia, thank you so much, my darling. This has been such a good chat, and I've loved talking to you, and just thank you for your time. Honestly, it's been joyful.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been a real honor. Really enjoyed it.
Good. You're very welcome. And thank you guys for watching as ever. I hope that this has helped. I hope it's given you something to think about and helped you in some way in your life. And as ever, if you want to give me a like and a follow, I appreciate it. But just look after yourselves. Have a good day. And I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.